Go ahead. So as the late afternoon turns into dusk, Cal heads away from the noise and the crowds of the carnival. The events of the past few days are weighing heavily on him. Ties and connections, love and loss, history and fate, all getting bound together into something larger than himself and his group of new friends. The return of Iskrin when he appeared to have died, his encounter with Gabriel and the carnival druids, and his witnessing of the planting of the seeds for Belmark are troubling him in different ways, bringing an overwhelming remembrance of people he has lost. His mind turns again to the village of the Sail Sioux and the importance of this day in the lives of the people he loved so and who have been left behind so far to the north from where he is now. He knows he can't let the day pass without honoring the tradition he is a part of, and so he begins to look for a place, the right place, somewhere with rock and water and trees and open sky above him. After a time, there it is, a crescent-shaped pond with a flat outcropping of rock pushing into the middle of the crescent, and a few trees around the edge. He walks to the rocky spot and clears a circle of the rock from a thin covering of dirt and grass and leaves. And he's ready to begin. As he kneels down at the edge of the small space he has cleared to be his ceremonial table, he hears in his mind the remembered sound of a wooden flute. Using druid craft, he fashions a temporary teapot from vines, fills the pot from the pond, and heats it with his hands. He takes out one of his moral thaw leaves, now more precious to him so far from where they come, and drops it in. While the tea steeps, he fashions a small cup from vines and blades of grass and places it in front of himself on the cleared rock. Then, following a sudden instinct he doesn't fully understand, he makes a second cup and places it across from his own. He closes his eyes briefly, thinking of the people of the Sail Sioux who would be performing this ceremony today in the village as well, for those who have begun their journey through the moral Pfeffin. After a time, the scent that starts rising from the teapot tells him then that the tea is ready to pour, and so he begins, not rushing, but not lingering. Lift the cup, sip, place the cup, rotate, palm flat on the rim, palm away, lift the cup, sip, place the cup. He has done this so many times, the gesture is so familiar and comforting, yet he pauses here and looks at the filled cup across from him, the cup that is not moving and turning through the seasons and the cycle of life. He closes his eyes again for a longer moment, and he seems frozen in place. Then his eyes open once again, and he goes onwards through the dance of the ceremony. Rotate, lift, sip, lower, raise. Drink the full measure, and place. Then the bow. Palms to his chest, thighs, his arms go out and up. His palms come to his forehead. He closes his eyes and bows from the waist. He is done, yet he holds himself again unmoving. After a moment of stillness, he opens his eyes, and the other cup still sits cooling in the evening air. As his eyes remain fixed on the cup, he brings out his own wooden flute and begins to play a song filled with sorrow and remembered joy and longing, all intertwined. As he finishes the song, he falls silent and clutches the flute to his chest. His head drops, his body hunches forward, his eyes close, and tears begin to come.
Kel, you sit upon the flat rock that juts out into the pond, clutching your flute, just staring at the small teapot and the untouched other cup. Tea gone cold, and ceremony unfulfilled. The weight of memory washes over you, and the miles between here and the Sail Sioux, your adopted tribe and family, expands out like a dark gulf of isolation. On this day of first planting, when the ritual of the Moral Pfeffin begins, to be here and so far away, awash in the noise and confusion and politics and blood of civilization, the emotions and memories of all that you lost, all that you ran from begins to crush you. Overwhelmed by the weight of your human emotions, your form shifts almost unconsciously into one of your earliest shapes, that of a gray wolf. You howl and you run. The rush of the breeze on your fur, the sound of the plains stretching out around, the smell of all creatures large and small in your nostrils. Your stride lengthens, sprinting in frustration and loneliness, chest pumping, heart thundering in your chest, just trying to escape, to get away, to just not be here. You leap over a small stream, and mid-jump your form explodes. Legs lengthening, neck stretching longer, a great weight upon your head. You left the earth as a wolf, but you have landed as a giant elk, striding across the plains with a speed and strength you have never felt before. You are free and powerful, and you realize you are not alone. Striding beside you in a ghostly form is a wolf with a black coat and blue eyes. A happiness you have not known in almost 6 years fills your heart. You run no longer to escape, but in sheer joy. You are not alone. The Sail Sioux are a part of you. What you felt you lost is here, in your heart, and with you always. You close your eyes as this revelation overwhelms you, and you find yourself running now in your human form. You quickly look to see the wolf, but it's gone, its physical form having faded away, and you fall to your knees, eyes closed and breathless, both thankful for the brief moment you had, but also mourning that it is now ended. After a moment, you look up, and you see 2 blue eyes staring into yours before fading away, and you know that that wolf is with you still. Kel, in your handouts, you will find a new spell that you know, called Howl of the Ghost Wolf.